A struggling intergenerational family living in a cramped Chicago tenement start to come apart when the widowed matriarch of the group gets $10,000 from her husband's life insurance. In 1961's big screen adaptation of A Raisin in the Sun. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Says, eat your eggs, they getting cold. Man say to his woman, help me now to take a hole in this world somehow, and she says, eat your eggs and go to work. I tell you, I gotta change my life because I'm choking to death, and all you say to me is eat these eggs.
Walter, that ain't none of our money, and I ain't gonna be harassing your mama about it.
I'm looking in the mirror this morning, and I'm thinking I'm 35 years old, I'm married 11 years, and I got a boy who's got to sleep in the living room because I got nothing, eh? Nothing to give him but stories. Like on how rich white people live, eh?
Eat your eggs, Walter.
Damn these eggs. Damn all the eggs that ever was.
And go to work.
I'm trying to talk to you about me. Now all you're gonna say to me is eat these eggs?
You never say nothing new. I listen to you every day, every morning, every night. You never say nothing new. So you'd rather be Mr. Arnold than be his chauffeur. So I'd rather be living in Buckingham Palace.
And that's just what's wrong with the colored woman in this world today. You don't understand about building your men up, making them feel like they're somebody, like they can do something.
There are colored men who do things.
No thanks to the colored woman.
Being a colored woman, I guess I can't help myself now.
I've always said Sidney Poitier is like fire. You know, he's like Marlon Brando in that way. This film is like one of the most best balanced films I've ever seen in terms of like balancing perspectives. And I love it. It's like your note picked up on this too. It's like it's like everyone has these coming at the same problem from a different direction. And every one of them has a point to them. So you can't discount anybody. You can't peg anyone as the bad guy here. This is like a dynamic cast performance, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know why?
Why?
Well, for those of you that don't know, I don't know if you saw this in my notes either. It's like the very, very bottom, I believe. But for those of you that don't know, so Raisin in the Sun started out as a play. And when they decided to make a movie adaptation of the play, they took the whole entire cast and they hired them as the actors for this movie.
Wow.
And so the chemistry between the characters, their understanding of their own characters, it is all there. And I think that was a brilliant thing to do. Just like very, very brilliant. Now, I think the only thing that changed is the director. And that's Hollywood for you. And I say that because, like, you know, I'm pretty certain, I don't want to be super wrong when I say this, but I'm fairly certain that the original, let me double check here, it looks like some decision had to be made to keep it as close to what the play looks like as possible. Meaning that, like, you know, you're on a set. Not on a set. You're on basically one stage. And the one stage that they're really on is the house the whole entire time. Now, of course, we've got some outside shots.
It's a few.
Yeah, a few, but most of everything that happens takes place with inside the house. And we've seen that other times. We saw that with A Streetcar Named Desire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a couple others that we've watched that were based off plays that they're really just kind of like the single set place. But
was Wait Until Dark was Wait Until Dark one of those? Because that was a confined environment too.
I want to say it is based on, yes, that was also a play as well.
Okay, because I thought it's like whenever you come up with a confined environment, you think it could be a stage play. But the one thing that film can do, that stage plays can't do, or that you don't have the access to, is the audience has one perspective. They have visually, they have the stage. They see everybody all at once on the stage, and that's good for a play. But in a movie, you have so much more creativity with the cinematography. And I did take notice of how many times they chose to frame multiple characters in the same shot in different size and proportion to one another. And I love that too. And those creative decisions don't exist in the play, but they nailed it anyway. It's like, we're going to do this, like
Mhm.
we're going to do the stage play, but we're going to add this wonderful cinematography on top of it too. And I wish I had the name of the cinematographer on it too. Not that I'm going to remember it. It's like, this is top-notch work. Did this movie win any Academy Awards? I have to wonder.
I hate to tell you this, but it's an all-black cast.
Oh no. Don't tell me.
Now, it does get nominated for some stuff. Ruby Dee won the National Board of Review Award for Best Supporting Actress. Portier and McNeil were nominated for the Golden Globe Awards, and the director received a special Gary Cooper Award at the 1961 Cannes Film Festival.
I'm looking at this.
Claudia McNeil received rave reviews for her performance, was nominated for Golden Globes Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Drama, and a BAFTA Awards for Best Actress in a Leading Role.
It made in 1961. Oh no, wait, sorry, Lawrence of Arabia, which I haven't seen. But you know what? Having not seen Lawrence of Arabia, I would be hard pressed to say that movie, as epic as I've heard it is going to be better than what I saw last night. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not even be nominated for an Academy Award. This is like, it blows my mind, Ryan. You've got like visual fire going on screen. It tears at the audiences it pulls the audience in different directions. It does so many things well, and not just well, but it's like and it has such a great moral theme at the heart of it too. And we'll get to some of there's a scene in particular, but it's like, how could you pass this up? And I know I know the answer, but it's like, because other people at least acknowledged it. There are some movies like, you just like, why didn't it win? Why wasn't it nominated? It wasn't even nominated, Ryan. Not even nominated. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. It is one of those things where we can say, and this is not, this is meaning that where we have come. If this movie, and I say this if this particular movie with these particular actors and this playwright and everything were made today, it would have 100% won the Academy Awards this past year. I say that because there is actually a remake of this movie, but you will not believe who plays his character, Sidney Poitier's character,
Walter,
in the remake of this movie. Can you guess?
No, the way you set it up, I don't think I could, but go ahead.
Freaking Sean P. Diddy Combs. Look, I've seen him act. I'm not saying he's a terrible actor. He's a terrible human being, but I'm not saying he's a terrible actor by any stretch. And that's the problem. And you can watch it for free on YouTube. The remake, you can actually watch this movie for free on YouTube as well. But this is a movie that I could see getting remade, believe it or not, because it's such a powerful story. But like, you have someone like Michael B. Jordan in that role. The great late Chadwick Boseman would have probably knocked it out of the park as well. There's so many actors out there who I could, maybe not think off the top of my head, but who could probably nail that. But no, not the remake that was already made.
No, it's like, look,
no,
you're trying to fill Sidney Poitier's shoes. That's a tough act to follow, dude. It's like but you've named some of the people who in today's day and age that would probably be the best equipped to do it. But I'm telling you, but it's not P. Diddy Combs. I'm sorry, it ain't P. Diddy. I mean, come on, people.
And what makes his character, what makes it work so well in this story, he's not a quote unquote good person. For a good chunk of this film, he's probably the most antagonistic person in the family. But the way he delivers his lines, the way he puts his emotions in his lines, I'm telling you, like, you feel the sympathy for him.
You do.
You can kind of understand, like, early on what he's going through just because of the way he's portraying it and everything. There was plenty of times where I'm sitting there watching the movie going, yeah, I get that. Like, I get what he's saying.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'm the same age that his character is in this movie, 35 right now. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, as I'm listening to him talk about time passing him on, this idea of like, what am I doing? And is it too late? Is it too late to really push for the goals that I have? How much time do I have before, I'm stuck and I won't be able to achieve what I want to achieve?
Yeah.
Is there? And now the thing for me, unlike him, especially in that time period, obviously, is that there's not as many hurdles that I would have had to go through
Right.
that he does have to go
Yeah.
through. And
And
he does.
yeah.
It is correct when he says that. It's like, this might be the only chance because there's not going to be many people that are going to give you the chance because of him being a black man.
And one of the things I do like about the movie is that it does tie the personal effect of the history of what he's going through, because there's a racial history there that's being reckoned with at the same time as you're reckoning with the personal fallout. Both Walter and his sister's father, he spent his whole life building up, and working to provide and do it in a way that I guess they're all trying to overcome what came before. If you want to go back to it, it's slavery. It's obviously slavery to sharecropping to Jim Crow, and being put under the systemic thumb of this repeated oppression in different forms. And the response to that, though, is to, Walter, it's like they all try to find goods. They all have a good they want to latch onto, but it's disordered in some way. Walter's is easy to spot. He's put his value in earning money like the white men do. There's nothing wrong with making money and to providing for. In fact, that's a good thing, to want to do that. It's what else he's willing to sacrifice or throw under the bus. He's not cognizant of it, or he pushes it out of his calculus. He doesn't think about the human cost of what he's doing to the rest of those around him. He's so focused on what this means to him, not realizing or not caring as much about, like, he actually dismisses his sister's pursuits to become a doctor. And his sister, she's trying to find, her value and worth in what I would call, like, kind of like African traditionalism. And a search for who you are is a good one. Just like the search, wanting to provide for your family is a good thing. And everyone seems to want a good thing. And yet everyone is at each other's throats the whole time until the end. But that's one of the things I love about it, though. It's like it presents the complexity of life through the racial prism that these characters have generationally suffered through. And we're seeing it come out in all these different variations. And I have to say, it was just masterful.
What I did find fascinating about this movie is if you go and watch spaces, or go to spaces where these conversations are happening, a lot of the conversations that are happening in this movie are still happening today. Like that first conversation where, that we heard, where, she's not supposedly doing, like, she's supposedly bringing him down, and things like that, but she's taking care of him. That's a conversation that still happens today. This whole connecting back to the roots of Africa is conversations that are still happening today, even though that you have, Benitha, who has fallen in love with an African man and he reciprocates the feelings. You can still see that tension. And in some ways, while he comes across as good-hearted to an extent, there are many times where it's like, you're kind of talking down to her.
He still talks to her like there's a woman, and the woman's role has a specific role to fit into. My cultural brain is going to impose on you. And so he has got, and then later on, though, he has some remarkable insights and wisdom when it comes right close to the end of the film. So he still has, it's like there's characters who are always wrong about something, and then they're right about something else, and that's one of the things I did notice.
And then like with Lena, part of her arc is like, she's trying to just keep her faith alive, while she's still feeling like she's getting beaten down by the world, keep her family together as much as possible. She is, in many ways, I would say she's the most guiding light of the movie.
She is.
Whereas she's the voice of reason throughout the whole entire film. And, Ruth she hasn't given up, but she's like, I have this in front of me. I'll just maintain this. And another social issue that was big back then that is still heavily talked about today is, for Black women, the ease in which abortion could happen. Because she gets pregnant and she thinks about getting an abortion.
Yeah.
There are tensions there. When abortion was first introduced, disproportionately affected the Black community the most, because that's where it was pushed upon. And she doesn't get it, but she's dealing with the potential ramifications of doing something like that. She even goes as far as to putting a down payment down to get an abortion, which is really what pushes this whole story forward.
Yeah.
that is what makes Lena decide to go off and do what she does,
Yeah.
which creates, inadvertently creates more tension, but she does it to save her family.
She does, but she also is the one character in the entire film, Lena, the mom, is that she's the one character, who has a strong viewpoint on life, and yet
Yes.
is willing at a key moment, and I did something I did not know she was going to do. She actually gives in despite her reservations because her son puts it to her, it's like, what right do you to, after you chose to leave the South to strike out a better life in the North, to deny me an opportunity, the freedom to make that choice for myself, basically. And she sees the logic and the reason in it. And she trusts him with like 2/3 of the money. She's already committed to 1/3 of it for the house, the down payment. But but another third was supposed to be, and this is what kills me, is like, just give him the 1/3 you were going to give him for his part. Don't trust him with the Bethena's part. Don't do it. And it's like, oh, and then of course it comes back to bite him. But it's like, but she does that. She's the only one who she moves past her personal convictions about right and wrong to understand that one of the convictions that she has is and this is kind of goes to a matter of faith for me too. I want to quickly unload this, is that the way God treats us, and she's a woman of faith, is that God treats us, he allows us our free will to make right choices or wrong choices because that's the loving thing to do. And she makes that choice for him, even though she's doubtful about his abilities or capacity to make the right choice. I thought that was fantastic.
Well, yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about this as I was watching the movie, but I'm thinking about it now as we're talking about it. That is when the movie, and to be honest with you, the movie turns into the prodigal son story from that point on.
Yes, it does.
And that's just, again, the layers of this movie are just fantastic because, while he doesn't go off and do anything, like, he doesn't go and booze it away himself, what he does is he gives it all over, to his business partners, and, you have a shady business partner. And that was something because, like, it did a very good job of, like, not making you suspect that something like that would happen.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought something's going to happen. It's going to fall through, or,
he's going to steal the check. I thought that Walter was going to steal the check. That would be the predictable screenwriting thing to do, right? The predictable story would be for him just to steal the money. Right?
Yeah, but he's like, he goes off and, he does exactly what he's going to do, which is he gives that money and then it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. That's like,
it's just gone. And, we don't have there's no resolution to that part.
No.
Which is, it's in the story itself, you might be in there, what's the resolution? But that's not the point. And there's a different resolution that comes about because of all this. But it's that prodigal son. Everything he had, he gave it all up. But where was he able to return back to? He was able to return back to his mom.
I will say that the unexpected choice that they make, and this is what I love about good screenwriting, is that by making the unexpected or not predictable choice, trusting him with the money despite knowing what he's going to do is probably not good. Have it come back. It's like, have him go do that, lose the money, but still have the house as this other thing with Winnie, with Piglet the racist, where it's like, it's like they buy the house, but the community doesn't want them there. And they're willing to raise the money to give them more than they put into it as this big carrot to say, go away, basically. We'll buy you off. And that's so much more connected to Walter's struggle, because now he's being confronted with a moral choice that will end up forming his son. By making that unexpected choice earlier, now you get the better choice later that he's confronted with. And you wouldn't have had that, or it would have been lesser. You might have had a decent story, but it would have been more rote. It would have been more expected. This makes it exceptional to me. That's what makes it exceptional.
Yeah, you're spot on take. And not to break the tension there or anything like that, but folks, you're probably wondering, like, why did he just say Piglet? Well, the fun fact, the only other white person in this movie is the man who comes from
John
what
Fiedler.
is essentially the homeowners association.
Yeah,
he's John Fiedler. He is the head of the homeowners association. It's a different title in this, but he's the head of the homeowners association. And when I first, I was sitting there going, That voice sounds familiar. So I need to look him up. And sure enough, he's the voice of Piglet.
Yeah. We saw him
He's the
actually.
voice
He's one of was it Walter Matthau's buddies in The Odd Couple, actually. There's something about Prometheus in here that was really interesting.
Early on, it's kind of it's not a throwaway line either. But beneath it, she's in a situationship with this other guy. They're kind of something. I think his name is he George?
There's the rich one and there's the African guy. The George is the rich one.
He gets into an argument with Walter. And, Walter is obviously jealous of George. George comes from an affluent family. And of course, we don't know how he's affluent.
He has educated money.
Yeah. And
the class lines in this movie too, by the way, the class conflict.
Yeah.
Too.
Because Walter kind of, goes in on him for being educated. And there's this part, he's not insulting him when he says this. At least I didn't look at it as an insult. But there's this part where George says right before he leaves, he goes, Walter, you're like Prometheus. And he doesn't explain himself. And then Walter's sitting there going, Prometheus? Who's Prometheus? And he doesn't, he obviously doesn't know. Yeah, I probably made that up. And I'm sitting there thinking about that. And here's this was just my interpretation. I don't know if I'm correct when I say this or not. But, when you evoke the Greeks, I always that. My ears perked up. My ears are perked up this whole entire movie, but I'm like, oh, wait.
I am learning that about you, Ryan, that the Greek thing is a nice in for you.
This was just my interpretation. This is because I think George knows enough about Walter. I think he is trying to say, like Prometheus does, you're trying to steal fire. When he says that, you're trying to be like the white man. Like, Walter, that's what you want to be like. You want to be like the white man, and you want to give it back to the community. You want to show the community, this is how we be like the white man. Where Prometheus is kind of even though this is a different kind of interpretation of it in a way, where Prometheus, you can make that interpretation when he gives fire to the people. He's saying, this is how you be like the gods, because now you have fire.
Yeah.
And I think it's him kind of calling Walter out. That's what Walter desperately wants to be. He wants to be them. And even George is like, no, you can't do that. That was my interpretation. And there's a lot of that's another brilliant part of this. The writing from this is that there's a lot of subtle things that happen throughout the movie that are either callbacks or that will be called back eventually, or they hint at the more. And of course, we know foreshadowing, things like that do happen. I just think the way they subtly did it in this movie was just super powerful. For instance, another part of this, which I thought was just, again, brilliant. Early on, when they finally get the check, when the check arrives, it's, they hand it to Lena, and, without saying anything, she very much sells the emotion. In some ways, this is kind of like the second burial of her husband. She's been with this man his whole entire life. For a good chunk of her life. She's raised 2 kids with him. He's gone now.
And all that's left is this check.
That's what's left of him. And then later on in the film, and this is almost literally I felt like applauding, because I was like, oh my gosh, what a just a powerful callback to that part of the film. Because then after the money is stolen, Walter laments. He cries out. That was his father. That was what was left of his father. And it has now been stolen from them.
Yes.
And you're like, I immediately went back to that, not went back physically, but I immediately thought about to that part of the movie. And I'm like, that is just
it's really good, because it draws the physical body into it. You can't get any more personal. He's exhumed and stolen from the body of his father. And it's so personal and raw. And Sidney Poitier, no one can tell me that someone can deliver that better than Sidney Poitier can. He does that. He eats that stuff up for breakfast. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that you give him a line that good, he sucks the marrow out of it. And so, but yeah, it's exactly. I totally on board. It's the metaphorical use of the body in this film is fantastic. I do want to touch on something. Is that the difference between, we just watched Son of the Gods, which we talked about. It's the way they try to handle racism in that movie versus the way they handle racism in this movie. And it's like, I couldn't imagine like a more worlds apart thing. This movie actually lays out exactly what we were saying about the criticism in Son of the Gods. It does it, and it says about in terms of the quiet part of racism. It's like separate but equal. It's like, wouldn't you be happier over there in your own people, with your keeping with your own tribe, keeping with your own race. And it's like, and this movie is like, no, this is why it's harmful. In fact, it comes down to that. We're going to go to the white neighborhood. We're going to live in the white neighborhood because there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we should not, and you shouldn't, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to live with us. So, it's like we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. And it's like, and it shows you the harm of allowing you to try to reserve that part of yourself. It's like, well, not the physical violence. We don't like that. That's too upsetting. But this part over here, we'd like to preserve that if we could. So we won't hurt you anymore. Like, we won't beat you down physically anymore. But we'll keep this part of it to ourselves. No, that's just as poisonous. It's just as harmful. And the movie puts words to it, and it does it in such a beautiful, eloquent way too that I can't even replicate it myself.
Here's the thing, and we both already know this. The reason why that happens, the reason why that's able to happen is because, or that it is like that, is because you have the writer of this film and the actors of this film who have lived that versus Son of Gods, who that was obviously a majority white cast. They have not lived that racism.
No.
In that sense,
Yeah, couldn't be more worlds apart. Verdict time, man. Is it any wonder? It's Fortune and Glory.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're definitely revisiting this when we talk about our best when we get to our next special in the future.
Yeah.
For our season ending stuff. This is gonna be hard pressed to beat in terms of the best films that we've seen this particular season. So yeah, this is absolutely Fortune and Glory. If there was like, I almost want to make an argument. It's like maybe we should figure out another level higher than Fortune and Glory and give it that. But no, seriously, this is a powerful film. It will move you. It'll make you think. If you go look up, this is one of the top 100 films of all time, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
it's a shame it didn't actually win awards. Now, I'm gonna give it to you those movies, and now while I haven't seen them either, I do know that those movies that you listed off, like, seems like 1961, 1962 was a fantastic year for film. But the fact that this didn't win any Academy Awards of any sort, like, that's like, that shows more of the problem than it does the solution. Yeah, I say that in respect to 1961, where, you had Raisin in the Sun, you had To Kill a Mockingbird, two films
Lawrence
that we
of
have
Arabia.
watched, and then you have Lawrence of Arabia. And the only reason why I haven't watched Lawrence of Arabia yet, because that sucker is like almost 4 hours long.
It's long. And
So,
I don't know if it's available.
yeah.
We'll have to check our watches on that one if it ever comes up available on Tubi, because it would qualify in every other way.
You know what?
But man, it's hard to.
I think it is on Tubi. And the only reason why I didn't put it on there on our list recently is because I was like, that 4 hours, man. I don't know. I just, if it's not, I've seen it somewhere recently.
Not currently available. It says you can pull up a page for it on Tubi, but it's not currently available. I can add it for later, maybe. The restored version.
Yeah,
if that means the director's cut, man. And it's 6 hours later. It's like, I don't know. As for my verdict, I mean, yes, I'm right there with you. This is totally Fortune and Glory. The acting is consistently among the best I've ever seen, not just from Poitier, but the entire cast, like I mentioned. The writing is remarkable, and its ability to weave so many plots and subplots together pretty seamlessly, portioning out each one in just the right amount, and all culminating in the one simple climactic decision on Walter's part. And it all comes down to that. Its messages are timeless, and they're good ones, and it delivers them all through broken but ultimately very relatable figures. You could see people if you meet on the street, you could feel them. You could feel someone that you met in real life talking and thinking and feeling like this. You feel the weight of generations of pain and suffering. It's the effect of I hear what you say about maybe making another tier up, but there's dangers in that too, because how do you have to go back and think about
Yeah.
what other films have we watched? Like, are we second-handedly slighting by not giving it this? So, in any case, yeah, although we did create a new one at the bottom for the worst, but it's easier to do that. So, in any case, what should people be watching if they want to keep up with us next week, Brian?
All right. So next week's we do have another Academy Award nominated film. I don't know if it won. This is what Tubi says, and this is a very spot on synopsis. Tubi says
Good.
this: when a ship captain heads west to join his fiancée on her father's ranch, he is thrust into the middle of a bitter feud between two families. This is directed by William Wyler. This stars Gregory Peck, Gene Simmons, Carol Baker, and for the first time on our show, Charlton Heston. Next week's film is The Big Country.
The Big Country. I'm not huge into Westerns, but I do like an occasional one. By the way, do you recognize the name William Wyler by any chance, Ryan? Because it goes back a ways in Movie Bones. We have watched one other film by him.
Not offhand.
Goes all the way back almost to the very beginning. Roman Holiday.
Well, that makes sense why he got Gregory Peck to this movie.
Actors and directors do tend to sometimes form those relationships that then get them hired for further projects by that director. So yeah, that does happen. We've seen it even today. It's like Christopher Nolan does the same thing too.
I'm going to give you a little bit of not a spoiler, but a heads up about this movie.
Okay.
This is my personal opinion. After watching this will subvert some expectations about Westerns. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. I'm saying that there is some, the way Westerns usually go, not so much in this. I think that's a really neat concept that happens in this movie.
You give me a little tease there. I haven't watched it yet. You've watched it ahead of me, so that's a nice little tease though for the folks out there. I'll be interested in seeing just how that plays out. So yeah. In any case, folks, we'll see you guys next week. And Ryan, I guess I'll see you next week. And that's our show, folks. Bye-bye.
See you next week, folks.
You should hear the money them folks raised to buy the house back from us. All we paid and then some.
What do they think we're gonna do? Eat them?
No, honey. Marry him.